declaration of a drought in Northland's west coast will bring some business-related relief to the region's farmers. They've been battling through another dry summer alongside many in the Waikato, who are also suffering from a lack of rain. Met Service says the dry weather is due to continue in the north for at least the next 10 days. Joining me now is Federated Farmers spokesperson David Broome. Hi there, David.
Good morning, sir.
So how bad would you say things are for these farmers in Northland's west coast?
Oh, it's in Kaipara District, it's pretty darn bad. If you go to areas like Potu Point, there's only been about 6 mils of rain since the beginning of this year. Even Dargaville has had only about 18.6 mils. So it's very, very dry. It's worse than what it was last year. And of course, last year was a 1 in 70-year drought event. And it's not just the Northland area, but you go down to places like Morrinsville and the Waikato. Since the beginning of this year, they've only had about 30 mils. So it's pretty darn tough out there.
When a drought is declared, what sort of assistance kicks in?
I hate to say this to viewers who think that there's a pot of cash sitting in the beehive. There isn't. The only form of public assistance available is the social welfare safety net. So it means that if your business has effectively failed, or if you're an employee of a farmer and you're laid off, it means that you can apply for some form of public assistance. But I need to be very candid here that the same eligibility rules apply for the unemployment benefit as apply for these other forms of assistance. So there isn't any easy or quick money. And in fact, last year, the worst drought in 70 years, only about 146 people qualified for a rural assistance payment, and that covered the entire North Island and the South Island's west coast. I guess the main advantage of a drought declaration is psychological, because what you've got is that you've been battling through, in the case of the guys in Kaipara District, since last November, they've gone without significant rainfall, that there's recognition that you are in a bad way. It then kicks off the Rural Support Trust, which they can provide farm advisory and counselling services, and that's just blinking marvellous, I need to be honest, because that means you can have a chinwag, you can get a farm consultant in to see how you can structure your farm business as best you can. There are other things which relate to contracts which are tied to an adverse event, which then come into play. And certainly the relief up in Kaipara District is mainly the fact that there's recognition that they're in a bad way, but there's huge swathes of the west coast of the North Island which are in a similar way. In fact, if you imagine a line going due south from, say, Ngatea to Morrinsville and heading south into the South Waikato District, anything west of that is very, very dry. And even east of that area, it was dry until a couple of weeks ago, but Lusi delivered at least some rain relief. The key concern I think we've got is that there's no rain relief on the immediate radar. And so, and with a drought, the only solution you've got is rain.
Yeah. Now, when you think commodity prices have been exceptionally good for most of our commodities over the past few years, is that going to be a big help, though, to help these farmers get through?
It's a cushion, because the biggest form of assistance that farmers will probably get will be their bank, and as we know, banks are not charities, so it's a commercial decision the banks are going to be employing here, and certainly having improved commodity prices, especially for the dairy farms, is going to be a huge boon. But I guess if people sort of think, well, what does this mean for me? I think it's the opportunity cost to the New Zealand economy, because right now the only solution, if you're a sheep and beef farmer, you would have destocked and gone down to try to protect your core breeding stock. If you're a dairy farmer, most dairy farms are on once a day milking at the moment. There's herd staying to dry off right now. And when you've got this fantastic boom going on, especially with our exports to China being up 25% in a year, the inability to produce milk is a bit grating. This is probably a once in a decade opportunity to really make hay while the sun shines, and unfortunately the weather's just not playing ball right now.
Well, let's hope they get a bit of rain in the next few weeks or so. Thanks very much for your time there. It's David Broome from Federated Farmers.